So hope what I'll say is correct. It's about mental health. Let's say if you're someone who comes from dysfunctional family, and in that place, let's say that the place where you happen to live is a small place, and it's surrounded with small-minded people, and that place is mentally dirty. Yeah, and the place is mentally dirty, and so that's kind of like dark clouds over your head. And at some point you're going to have to go away, just for your mental health, because when you're constantly there, I mean, that's like if you're like me, if you're constantly there in dysfunctional families, people tend to argue all the time, and arguing and listening to arguing, pretty much all the time. You wake up hearing arguing from people, wakes you up. You hear arguing from neighbors and so on. That's not healthy. People constantly arguing, that's not mentally healthy. And if you live your whole life in that kind of place, chances are you will have you'll have mental problems, and your mind will be dirty because of that. Not dirty in a dirty minded way, sex stuff, but dirty from this, dark cloud, clustered with that arguing mess. And so yeah, at some point you will have to go away from that place, just for the sake for your own mental health, because you need mental health. Mental health is important, because there are certain things that you just can't put up with. Like me, I happen to be made that way that I can't put up arguing all the time, people screaming and shouting, and me hearing that, witnessing that. I just can't do it. So I need place where there's none of that, place where there's silence, no one screaming, or where you have silence and privacy. That's very important if you happen to be around this mentally dirty place. I happen to have some mental clarity right now, or just some silence in my head. Let's just peace in my head, let's just say it, more of that. So why do I have it today? Well, it's because I went on a one-day trip. I went to on a different town, far away from my hometown, and I got this clarity here. So I want to talk about that process. I want to talk about how mental health is important, how it just might save your life. And I've noticed that when I go away from a mentally dirty town, and when I go out to a town where there is none of that, I notice this whole process in my head, how this dark clouds in my head with dark thoughts slowly disappear. And that takes time. Like, for instance, today when I went away, I think that the whole process, it took like, I think like 6 hours or something, that where my head like just naturally let go of all these dark thoughts, and I was left with this kind of relief and with silence and clarity in my head. So I want to say this, that if you are like me and you're born into a dysfunctional family where people constantly argue, and on top of that the place where you are born is a small place with small-minded people, and if you're like me, you can't really stand that constantly people arguing, and just all that mental junk that floats around in your hometown. That's just you just can't stand that all the time, because that's not healthy. It's not healthy for your head, and at some point you have to go away. You have to go to a place where there's none of that, no arguing, no one argues around you, where you have silence, where you have personal space. You need that for your own sanity, because if you don't, you just go insane and you'll constantly be irritated by these dark things that happen around you, and yeah, you're going to be on the verge of nervous breakdown. So yeah, I think at some point, if you're from a dysfunctional family, you have to go away at some point, just for your own mental health sake. I think you'll know when you have to go away, where you need some mental peace. And yeah, that's why I went away, because in a way I feel that the place where I'm at, in my hometown, I just can't stand all the arguing all the time. It's just very irritating. And today I went away on this trip, and I have mental peace, and it's just really nice. It's like, you know, this thing that really hits the spot. So yeah, it's really nice. So I think that's what I wanted to say in this video, the importance of mental health, and that you should go, away from that in places where you haven't been before, and you'll get mental clarity there. Because it's this thing, you are a different human when you're in these different type of places. When you're in that mentally dirty place, your head will be kind of, you'll be swirling around that, because it's all in the air, and your mentality will go into that. So when you go out into a different town, your mentality will match with whatever it's there around, and it's like you're a different human. You behave differently when you do that. And I would encourage you to do that, because it feels pleasant, it feels like liberating, it feels good. So just go somewhere else where you can get that mental peace for some time. Let's say do it for, I don't know, a few weeks, a month, few months, and then once you get a little bit of that mental clarity, when you're not constantly in that arguing space, you can then go from there. Also, when I go back to that small-minded town, my hometown, there's this whole process of when I kind of become the same as I was before. When I go to this other town where there's no this dirty mindedness, I become a different human. I feel better, and then when I go back to that place, I feel worse. And even there's this whole process of going from these stations in between, from moving from small towns to get to your town eventually. I feel kind of worse again, and then I kind of feel the same as I did before I left. And yeah, that's how it is. And I don't really want to go back to my hometown. Even when I'm starting to go back, I kind of don't want to go back, but I go anyway. No one says you have to, right?